Sasson Dimmy and Gug and Gug. Guggala 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 guggala. Sasson Dimmy and Gug. Well, now we know who I make these videos for. If whether or not they're watched by the people I'm making them for is another question. Don't I look nice with the new haircut? Left the beard. Shaved the head and left the beard. A freaking man, man, a freaking man. And took a shower, so I feel good. I don't feel like a rancid pus sack. Little things make me happy, like I got another email through AT&T that is nice and short. They only required 5 characters before the at symbol. So all I had to do was search in there, like do a search space thing. And in the search space, I found SGMZZ. Isn't that cool? It's such a short email. And I think I can keep it no matter what about the account, whether or not I keep the account. Well, I got local dial tone over fiber optic, that's a new technology, but it's new and old at the same time. It can't do messaging, which is unfortunate. I mean, it can do voice messaging, but that's about it. No text messaging, which I was hoping for. If it did text messaging, I could get rid of my cell phone, but it doesn't. I don't know why I looked over there when I'm holding it. Anyways, little things make me happy. I mean, like the sat phone. If I could find a decent per month contract, I might do it just because I'm interested in the technology. My brother wants me. I think I mentioned before. My brother wants me to get rid of the landline, but it's so cheap. It's so cheap, and it's a bundle thing. I get a little bit of a discount because it's a bundle thing. I think $5 off or something like that. Um, AT&T keeps calling because I called about I couldn't get through after hours only to new service. New service was the only thing that was working, and they keep calling my cell phone, and I'm like, what the God? I downgraded my fiber optic stuff. I mean, I was trying to in an effort to save money, and it's evidently good enough to watch uh, streaming television on the big screen. So it's I didn't really need the 1 gig service, evidently. Anyways, I'm gonna hit the pause button because I can't find an inexpensive deal for the sat phone. It's like the cheapest I can find is something like 65 a month or something for like 10 minutes. And all I wanted was like for emergencies, like in case the cell towers go down, then I have something to use in case of a real emergency. I mean, if the cell towers go down, we're in deep shit, man. Um, what's my point? Little things make me happy. So I confirmed. Well, I mean, not really confirmed, but I checked this morning. I checked to see the address of the suite number or office number of where I'm going to have my colonoscopy, and it turns out that they don't have a suite number. It's just a standalone facility, so it must be pretty impressive. Anyways, what's my point? Oh, the gastroenterologist was a lot kinder than I expected. I expected a real prick. Like, I don't know, just because he's so big, and it took me so long to get a decent appointment, like within 3 months, uh, or less than 3 months, and finally talked to the right person, and they set me up in just a day or two ago, maybe yesterday. Anyways, I'm self-medicating because I need to, and I don't feel ashamed anymore, because this is therapy for me, and talking about everything and anything important to me is like therapy for me. So there you go. There it is. In the morning, my brother listens to talk radio, and it's really inane. I mean, it's so inane. It's just a lot more, hell of a lot more inane than the stuff I talk about. Like, for instance, there's a minor point. This is a minor point on talk radio. Going out with people, going out with women that your friends have dated in the past. Now, it's supposed to be off limits, but I mean, according to talk radio, it's supposed to be off limits. And I'm like, what the? I mean, it's so fucking stupid. It's like a Johnny rule, a Johnny rule. You can't sleep with someone who I slept with in the past, or it's like just so stupid, so fucking stupid. Anyways, the only reason I regret Trish is because it hurt your feelings. Um, and that's enough about that kind of stuff. My brother gave me the day off, so that's why I'm making therapy. Yeah, my therapy videos. I need to, man. I need to. I don't have a regular therapist, and even if I did, I'm pretty sure they're not going to give me what or let me. They're not going to give me what I need. And I'm not talking about sex therapy. I'm talking about being able to talk about anything and everything for as long as I need to. And that's what these videos are for. That's what these videos are for. So if they're not watched or listened to, it's not my problem. It's not my problem. Well, I can't do radio astronomy. That's pretty obvious to me. I mean, I don't have the space. I don't have the equipment. I can't do radio astronomy. So it's like there's urges within me, to do cool stuff like photography with my 35 millimeter, uh, radio astronomy with equipment that I don't have. Um, Testing the service for satellite phone coverage, although it all I have to do is put it on the windowsill over there, and it gives an error message, uh, invalid account, which is all it means is the SIM card needs to be replaced. Yeah, the cheapest satellite phone plan I can find is a 12-month plan. It, 10 minutes or texts, 64.99, basically $65 a month. And if the sat phone that I got was cooler, I mean, it's the antenna is fucked up because it's like flimsy, and they it's so well used that there's like a locking mechanism on the antenna. I don't know, man. I mean, it really I didn't screw up, because I can sell the phone no problem on eBay. But I gotta wait for the charger. I'm getting a charger for this particular phone. Um, yeah, I don't. I can't justify it. I mean, I use the landline all the time to make calls. that I just don't feel like using my cell phone for. So I use the landline all the time. Um, I don't feel guilty or stupid about that. It's a good investment for something that's really reliable. The only thing when the power goes out, so do we lose dial tone. But fortunately, the power rarely goes out. So, anyways, I'm self-medicating right now with beer, and it's the morning. I don't feel bad. As long as I can make these videos, it makes me feel better, and I'll cope with it. I mean, I'll uh, Miss Brandt told him so. I don't know how I cracked the screen on my cell phone. That's bogus, man. I'm just grateful it still works. I mean, I dropped it and my wallet outside. Had to dry out. I mean, it rained a little bit, and got the evidently the phone was not too affected by the rain. Fortunately, my wallet I had to dry out. Like stick it on that chair over there and just let it dry out. My brother's still he's still sort of laughing at me. And he's not laughing. He's not really laughing, but he's still, you know, amused by my screw up on St. Patty's Day. Don't ask me how I injured my ribs or whatever I mean, it's something like a rib injury, like a rib bruised or not bruised or broken rib with intense pain when I sneeze. So it's like I can't even sneeze right now. I mean, the pain is diminished from that first day. So it's better now, but it's still, I don't know, it still doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel right, man. I'm not sure why I had to turn off the face cam. It was something I was doing. Something I had to do with my phone, and I'm not sure why. I mean, I can't remember why. And it's not the beer. It's just my memory's really fucked up. Although the beer, maybe it's helping with my memory, painful memories, not having to remember painful memories. I still think it's self medication. This is an uncomfortable part of
You cannot.
Ted Lasso, and it's just too bad. It's kind of a sad part of Ted Lasso. The the audience, the fans of this show want the team to win. I'm pretty sure. Like to kick ass and Celebrate. Anyways, I'm watching Outer Limits on Tubi, so it's making me feel better. I wasn't feeling very good last night. Sad and like melancholy. I don't know. It's just I'm not really sure the whys, but I had to put medicine on my 2 toenails. It's got like a nail fungus, or it's just the nails are like thick and not crusty. What's the description? 2 toenails on my right foot. The main big toenail and the one next to it. They're infected with some kind of like fungal rot, but it's just the nails, not the flesh. Anyways, medicine it's a prescription, like nail polish. I'm watching the Galaxy Being Outer Limits Season 1, Episode 1.
Yeah.
It's such a classic episode. So, the guy's so determined. And his wife or sister or whoever she is, she's like bitching him out. Like, you're wasting all this money on pure research, on static. Yeah, I feel like that character. I do. Um, People don't care. People don't understand, but I do. I mean, especially about PKA Sam. Um, I wish I could watch it. I wish I could watch it and record the video of me watching it, but it's copyrighted material, so I can only like pause recording here on the telephone and play a little bit and make my commentary that way. It sucks, but that's the way it is. I love this Outer Limits, man. I When I was in the Philippines, I had these delusions of galaxy beings, but not like that. Not like the show, the television show. These were more like beings that were conscious at a galactic level. I mean, they were true galaxy beings in my delusion. I mean, it was my delusions were pretty incredible. I mean, we call it pretty incredible imagination. Um, Hold on a second. In my delusion, they didn't talk with microwaves. It was no, they communicated telepathically, and it was fascinating. I mean, the delusion was fascinating, uh, because everything was conscious. I mean, from human beings all the way up to galaxies. Um, there was even consciousness at the level of planets and the sun, and I mean, it was just a really cool delusion. Um, pretty harmless. I'd have to say, except I really believed, I really believed I was communicating with all of these types of entities. And I was also, like I said before, delusional, delusion. I had definitely delusions of grandeur. Not, I wasn't Jesus, but I was definitely somewhat someone like a modern version of Moses. And hold on a second. Let me think about this for a minute. Also, there was no. I mean, it wasn't just limited to galaxy beings and stuff like that. Um, there was like I can't remember exactly how, because it was kind of convoluted how it came about. But I was also um, in communication with and had delusions of grandeur in the sense that I was, what do you call it, not just Moses, but like part of my awareness or part of my consciousness was uh, was God too. But like, and there was different gods, like the God of Moses and the God of uh, the God of Moses, the God of Jesus. The different times there was different gods of different times in history, and it was fascinating, and I mean super delusional and fascinating at the same time. I don't talk much about my delusions in the Philippines. I need to talk more about that stuff because um, I was immersed in delusion and delusions of grandeur, not just delusions of grandeur, but just delusions of all kinds. For instance, when I was doing this thing called what I call label hell loop. Uh, I was exploring physically. I was exploring the countryside, uh, basically the island. I was exploring the island, I mean, it was mountainous terrain. It was really difficult to get, to hike through jungle and mountainous terrain. And I believed I was being like followed at the time. Like I had delusions that I was being followed and chased by like people that wanted to harm me, but with people with packs of dogs chasing me down, kind of thing. It was but like, so it was delusions of persecution as well. It wasn't just delusions of grandeur. It was all kinds of delusions, and I mean, it's fascinating from a psychiatric point of view, but and fascinating from a science fiction point of view. But it was not fun to be that person. Uh, my delusions were so fluid and so like, what do you call it, undeniable. The delusions were, you couldn't just stop it, like, oh, this is all in my imagination. You couldn't do that. It was just, and it got, as I progressed in the jungle, it got more and more delusional. I mean, there was a point in Hell Loop when I thought I was in the Elysium fields, like in, like part of heaven, and it was and I saw who I thought was God, and he was wearing a business suit, and it's like, the thing is going to what I call the Elysium Fields and having delusions about though that area. Um, it was precarious physically because I was up on these ridges and with no way to get down safely. Um, it was insane. It was absolutely insane. The terrain was definitely mountainous, and with all these ridges and jungle ridges, and it was it was like impassable terrain, and I was having these insane delusions at the same time that would just got worse and worse and more convoluted. So when I was in what I in or near the Elysium Fields in my delusion of in what do you call it, the part of Hell Loop that I call the Elysian Fields, and it really felt, I mean, like I was somehow teleported to a different land. Um, it wasn't necessarily, I mean, I was in the Philippines, but at the same time I was in these like somehow I was transported to like a place that wasn't Earth anymore. It was like it was like an Earth in the far future or something like that. And it was uh and when it was at nighttime, it was, the delusions were worse in the sense that I was in communication with aliens that didn't know anything about human culture, so I was educating them like about what a Slurpee is and or a Frosty, things like that, and it was just bizarre. I mean, it was so bizarre. I mean, it was one delusion after another, and um, it got more and more delusional or pronounced. The delusions were more and more pronounced, and I mean, imagination is good for when you're a writer. You know, when you're a writer, when you're a storyteller, like, a writer or telling made up stories. Imagination is really good, but the thing is, imagination can be like a trap. When you're delusional, anything anything is possible in your imagination, and it's easy for whatever reasons. It's easy to believe that the delusions are somehow real, and it was terrifying at the same. It's fascinating for me as a fan of science fiction right now. Fascinating from that perspective, but terrifying in real life. So I kind of wanted. I mean, it's I wanted to. I mean, it's spontaneous what happened here in in this recording. I didn't expect to talk about that stuff. But how do there's that underlying question, like how does delusions of that time in the Philippines relate to my current time right now and my inner voices? Well, the as far as I can tell, the inner voices would take on the persona of whoever or whatever I was interacting with, and I right. So I mean, yeah. So authenticated, validated. So it was um, so I mean, and it was and they didn't have much of a choice. I mean, they were just they were going along with my inner delusions, and putting a voice, or almost even a face, a voice, and almost even to the, not just a voice, but like a face to the delusions, when I was interacting with different personas, whether it was a galaxy being or aliens, or I mean, it's absolutely fascinating, like I said, from a psychiatric point of view, but um, somewhat terrifying from a personal point of view, that when you're experiencing these delusions, and your inner voices are reinforcing the delusions by like participating as an whatever delusion I was having, whatever role that they could play to participate fully in the delusion, they would be, just without question, without, what do you call it, without making even a decision about it. It's like almost like they were being railroaded or forced into these personas based on whatever delusion I was having at the time. So what I just said was that, it's, you can't blame my inner voices for participating in my delusions. Um, Even now, when I think of my inner voices as like the persona of a guardian angel, um, you could think of that as just as delusional as what I was in the Philippines. But the thing is, in what I'm ultimately trying to do is make sense of a very confusing situation, and I can't be blamed, and they can't be blamed. Um, so we're and it uh, the medication, it doesn't change my belief system. It doesn't change what happened in the Philippines, and it could, in a sense, it could go out of control, like, again, even now. But if I keep pursuing some path that doesn't have anything to do with reality, I guess, I mean, to be, what do you call it, completely honest, and non fearful of judgment. Um, my current state of mind could easily be delusional, but the thing is that, and it, it still doesn't explain it, PKA Sam, which is, like I said, is one of two things. Uh, from my point of view, it's one of two things, and no middle ground. It's it's either a divine, PKA Sam is a divine creation, that God gave to me to help me out of my delusions and into back to reality, or an emergent phenomenon that happened because of stresses, not necessarily external stresses, but all kinds of, the spectrum of stresses, from internal to external. And to me, it's black and white. It's one or the other, nothing in between. Um, Now, real life is hardly ever black and white, and so, you know um, you could potentially think of PKA Sam as as partially, as partially God's gift to me to help me be more rational and more lucid, and more tied to reality, um, and also at the same time an emergent phenomenon that that happened in the Philippines, basically due to internal and external stresses. Um, Perhaps not too dissimilar from multiple personality, but um, never quite getting to the point where I'm speaking to other people and other real people on the planet from these internal personalities, because it's like they're relating to me. They're not relating to others in my physical environment. They're relating to me. Um, I don't, I that middle ground where it's both. Um, God, God, godly created and uh, God created and emergent phenomenon is it's not very satisfying to me. To me, it's what's satisfying is one or the other, uh, black and white, black or white. Is it emergent phenomenon, more more emergent phenomenon, or more a divine creation? And I choose to believe the latter. Well, fortunately, the delusion that I was being chased by people that were hunting me with dogs while I was in Hell Loop, um, didn't persist forever. Thank goodness. Um, there were dogs that sounded really vicious in real life when I was in the Elysium Field section. Um, I was high up on a ridge, and I slept there, and I was trying to make it to a certain town, and I had delusional visions, uh, like that I was in partial or temporary communication with Grace, and uh, and she was in a different level of hell, uh, not reality, but a different level of hell, and she communicated with me very briefly in Hell Loop at nighttime, and I'm trying. The delusions were so were so vivid. It was They were hard to ignore. Um, so, anyways, it's hard for me to connect to that time. I have very vivid memories of that time, like being held up. The only way it ended was me seeing what I thought was God and telling me to go in a certain direction safely. Uh, like I had to traverse like a cliff area, very difficult terrain, and come down from a ridge essentially, very difficult terrain on foot, and I started my swim back. Wasn't going to go through the jungle, the mountainous jungle on the way back. I was going to swim back, uh, more direct and to me less dangerous, although it had its own sets of dangers. On the way back, I had this vision of like a tesseract, like a multi-dimensional trap that somehow that I don't know that Lucifer or somebody had set up to trap God, and it was like in the sky, and I had this vision of like a false vision of that phenomenon, and somebody was using dynamite. It was like stormy weather, so not very safe to swim because the surf and the rocks were encrusted with like like with not not coral, but what do you call it? This really sharp stuff, stones, and really sharp rocks, and this it was not very safe to swim back either. And I was attempting to swim back to town to Ginbarokan, uh, over it's the same distance that I had traveled on foot through mountainous jungle. Um, so not just a vision of that, but there was in real life there was fishermen using dynamite to fish, and because the storm would overlay their activity, and they could get away with it without anyone bothering them. But it was not too far from where I was swimming, and I took a rest on these. I was almost back home, back to Ginbarokan, and I took a rest on these rocks. Somehow I safely got up on the top of these rocks without injuring myself, which is really difficult because, like I said, it was full of sharp stones and not crustaceans, but clams, like what do you call them? Barnacles that were really sharp, and then you could easily cut your hands or appendages on. And it wasn't just the tesseract that I had delusions about. I was delusional the whole time coming back. Um, it was hell loop. That's why I labeled that whole thing hell loop. Um, yeah, I'm trying to accurately describe that time period of hell loop and the surrounding times. I can't remember if it was when I got back or, I mean, I finally got back to, there's a bay that's fairly well protected from the stormy storms that I was able to swim in, that was calm, and get back to the safety of land, basically where I started, Hell Loop. I swam across the bay and started hiking through the jungle. Um, and on my way back, swam through pretty dangerous surf to and rocky shoreline. Not beach, not safe stuff. It was very dangerous, and finally got back to the Ginbarokan, which was home for me. But the thing is, I can't remember if other delusions. These were not necessarily delusions of grandeur, but just plain delusions were also. I can't remember if it was before or after Hell Loop, but there was delusions where I was in the jungle and controlling my body temperature, like they did in Kung Fu, one episode where Kwai Chang was helping one guy use meditation to control body temperature and metabolism. If it sounds haphazard, it was. Um, it was haphazard. It was just like a conglomeration of delusions, essentially, a conglomeration of delusions. And I mean, and I can't say the medications have brought me out of that. Uh, the State Department, helping me get back to the States, and helped me get away from that immersive environment, where I was not just immersed in homelessness, but immersed in delusions, um, of a myriad of different kinds, all conglomerated. And well, that was interesting. I just finished the episode. It's well done. It's well crafted, and anyways, I wanted to talk more about my delusions, but I'm a little bit tired. That's enough for now.